What's up, everybody? Welcome back for another video with EndFaze Games. We have some sorcery news, which is great, right? So if you guys had the chance to watch the latest video that Sorcery just put out on their official YouTube channel, they had a really good video that went through a variety of topics, a lot of topics that have been on our minds. I have some notes to follow along here to kind of summarize the video and give you guys some of my thoughts. I think it was a very much needed video, and I think it was great. And I really do think that they are following their course and they are listening to our feedback, and they're seeing all of our discourse that happens on the Facebook pages, the Facebook groups, the Discords, all of that stuff. They're listening. I think they've been hard at work. They've probably been quiet about some things. What they said in the video kind of solidifies that point. They are a very secretive kind of company. They like keeping things in-house. That's kind of one of their philosophies, along with one set a year, community driven, not as competitive kind of things. But I have some notes here, and it's all positive news. And I think if we could get one of those videos maybe once a month during these kind of lull periods, or maybe once every other month, once event season. They mentioned event season by name, and I think if they can get some of these videos out and just get some more correspondence in the future, I think it will lead to less not so positive discourse in some of the communities out there. So first things first, I wanted to give a shout out to my buddy Adam, who just went up to Pickerington and won a tournament up there. I believe it had 12 people in it, and he took home, I think, one of the Sorcerer alt arts, took home an Ethereum Legends box and a playmat. So great job, Adam. Recently, Sorcery just announced Gen Con. We pretty much knew that was coming. Gen Con this past Sunday, tickets went on sale for the actual event, and then I believe right before that, Friday or Saturday last week, they announced that they'd be returning to Gen Con. We all kind of knew that was happening, or we knew deep down that it was going to be happening, but they officially made that announcement. So not so much of an announcement as that we just expected it, but they did announce it. The online league just finished up, and it ended up in a Archmago versus Archmago mirror match, which was kind of crazy to see. I did actually just leave a comment on the Around the Realm video talking about what the team's, kind of goals are moving forward with certain cards that are deemed to be too powerful. I don't want to, I know they probably aren't ever going to ban a card. If there's ever a card that's going to be banned, it's probably going to be the Ring first. But I don't think Archmago needs to be banned. It can be beaten. I played 2 games over the weekend with Archmago. I went 1-1 in those games, and then I played a different deck for another 2 matches. Went 1-1 in those, and we had a great time like we always do playing Sorcery. Crazy things happen. I know in one game, a double Warhorse killed me. Warhorse carried a horse across, and then that did the final damage. And then in one game, I was playing Druid, and I had Tawny on the far side of the board, and I got to snowball Tawny and everything that the avatar was carrying on that side over to my side and do some stuff after that. So that was pretty cool. That's just what you get with Sorcery. It's just cool stuff that happens. It's not going to happen in every game because consistency went down a little bit with 50-30. But that's the beautiful thing about the game. So in the video from Around the Realm, they mentioned a lot of Gothic hype. They're really ramping up Gothic, and they mentioned by words that they used. They said a few times that the set is big and huge. So I'm going to go ahead and put out my first prediction for Gothic. I think it's going to be 450 to 500 cards. And they did also mention that it's going to be a lot of players' first touch on Sorcery. So we know that Team Covenant is out of beta boxes. Beta boxes are, no longer technically in print. I know that there's a small reprint, But Simon at the end also did mention that they are sending out store kits as part of their engagement with the competitive side of things, which I'll touch on later. But I think the reprint is going to be very isolated with the onboarding kits that they send out to new stores to get their game in more LGSs than what they're already in. So I think that's a great thing. They're doing a lot of playtesting. They mentioned pre-cons a few times, and they did mention that they were trying to keep them kind of flavorful, but they did mention like polar bears and another card that I can't remember right now. But it would not surprise me if some of the Gothic decks have beta cards slotted into them. Now, I'll kind of retract that a little bit with if they do end up making them all Gothic cards for the Gothic precons, I think they will be incomplete. They won't be 50-30 decks. You'll need to complete them to, other than if you're doing a precon versus a precon or some sort of event like that, or just, kitchen table type of stuff, just playing with your friends, not any kind of competitive setting. You can just obviously open a precon and play it. But if you wanted to take it to Gen Con or Courtesan Cup or Sorcery Con, something like that, you're going to need to complete the deck. Now, if they slot in beta cards, I think there's a chance that they will be 50-30, and I think they might have beta cards in them, because if they're mentioning that Gothic is going to be a lot of players' first touch on Gothic, Gothic is going to be able to stand on its own. It's going to be a larger set. So Arthurian Legends was more of like a supplemental set. And I think that just makes a lot of sense. And I know in the comments, somebody's probably going to, bombard me with, precon shouldn't have cards from other sets and this and that. A lot of other games do the same thing. A lot of games have cards that are just steadily reprinted in every set. I don't think Sorcery is going to do that. I'm not thinking that there's going to be a Gothic grapple shot, although it wouldn't surprise me. I don't think you need to reprint grapple shot already. I'm just using that as an example, by the way. But I don't think that it would hurt that if a Gothic precon had grapple shot in it with the same art. Maybe it has the Gothic emblem on it for collecting purposes, some sort of thing like that. But it wouldn't surprise me if they slot in some other cards. Play testing, they're doing a lot of that. They're retweaking some of the Dragon Lord cards, so I think that's causing a little bit of a delay with that. With what I said in some of my past videos, I think the Dragon Lord set is going to drop alongside whenever Ed Beer Jr. gets his book done, and that hits Kickstarter. I'm hoping that hits Kickstarter sometime soon, and then he gets the whatever funding he wants for that book, or however many sales, or if it's just like a Kickstarter sale kind of thing. I hope he gets all that on Kickstarter soon, so that way, whenever that book is delivered, in a perfect world, that book is delivered when people get it shipped to their houses, and then around that same time, you'll be able to go to an LGS, or if they do it on the Dust Store, I think that's a slight, there's not a zero chance that it might be a Dust Store item, but I think if they landed near the same time, I think it makes the most sense. Then they talked to Eric, and the art process, they're waiting on a few more pieces of art to come in, and then I think they're finishing up with Gothic. So I think a lot of people were worried, in some of the comments that I've seen around the Facebook groups and Discords and stuff, like they're thinking like with no correspondence and the kind of lull after AL, that they're kind of thinking that Gothic might get delayed. I'm thinking with the flavor of Gothic, if it comes out around Halloween, that could probably be a perfect time. I hope that they can get it done by then. But I don't know what that process is like. I'm sure, if some things are coming from China and stuff, that could cause, some delays and stuff like that. But we'll see. A lot of the meat of it came from Simon, which is where I got a lot of the positivity and just kind of reassurance from. They mentioned the big and huge number of the set. Like I said before, I think it's going to be about 450 cards on the higher end. If it's 500, it'll be super awesome. They mentioned that the new binders are going to be en route soon to them, and then they're going to do quality checks. They mentioned that they did the refunds. They refunded all the binders. Everybody got to keep the binders, and they refunded all the shipping. They did, you know, super right by all the customers with that, and I think it's just a great thing. They did mention that the new binders will have some sort of barcode on the wrapper on the back, so that way you know that you're getting one of the new binders. So that's pretty cool. The Sorcery store is going to be restocking soon. I guess they ran out of some of the shirt size, the more popular shirt sizes and hoodies. So we got that coming. The one thing that they didn't mention the dust store, which it still is kind of frustrating with that. We've seen what they plan to do in the dust store. Like they're going to do foil druid. So you'll need probably 2 different druids to be a foil one, and then the full art back, and then the 2 tokens that come with that avatar. So that's a 4-card package. I'm sure there's going to be something with that. There's I know that there's a King Arthur dust store one, and I think there's one other one that I can't remember right now either. That's all I know from the dust store, and I'm sure they're going to have some sort of surprise with that. So that's kind of frustrating. They didn't mention that at all in the video. The next set, they did say that Gothic is going to have a lot of avatars, and they mentioned that the avatars do crazy things. So, like I said earlier, with one of the comments that I left under the video, I mentioned how powerful Archmago is, and I don't think a ban is necessary, but I myself have thought of some other cards that they could print, and I asked them about, instead of banning cards, like you could errata it, and that would be easy to send out to stores. If a card gets errated, you could just send out a stack of cards to an LGS, and those are your errated cards. I know Lorcana's done that before. Lorcana's actually the only one that I can think of that's done that before, because Archmago's, it's beatable, but it's rough that it's not a tap ability. I think if it's a tap ability, he's not powerful enough. So there could be maybe a card or something that they could print, like maybe some sort of passive effect on a unit in the realm that, says while this unit's in play, avatars, like make it a spellcaster or something with like a 4 or 5 cost. Make it exceptional or elite, something like that, to where you kind of have to work to get it a little bit. Like Archmago's got to work to fill up his cemetery to do his thing. To counter it, you got to do a little bit of work to find that minion or draw into it, something like that. But you could do like a passive ability where like avatars, opposing avatars in the realm have to tap to use their ability. So then that way, Archmago needs to attack that creature, get it out of the realm so he can do his ability without tapping. Something like that. They did mention the downtime a little bit, and that they're ramping up for the event season and what's to come. They mentioned Courtesan Cup, they mentioned Gen Con again. So I do think they're listening to the community quite a bit. And, that we call it a lull in the downtime, like Arthurian Legends came out, then Sorcery Con happened, and then the end of the year happened, and that's kind of when things kind of chill out anyways. And I think that's just part of their philosophy. So it's just part of the game. And, near the end of the year, they're going to release a set. There's going to be a couple months off, and then they're going to ramp up for the next season. The next season seems to be March to Sorcery Con is what I'm understanding. And then they did mention, some of the events and stuff that they got, hopefully getting planned here soon. They did mention that there's going to be a lot more spoilers for Gothic. They're going to change it up quite a bit. I don't know if that has anything to do with it being a bigger set, but they said that they listened to the community. Like we liked the spoiler season. The spoiler season was short and sweet with Arthurian Legends, and they kind of bounced around the idea that there might be a spoiler on Valentine's Day, so we got to look out for that. We've had the 1 card spoiled so far. They've worked on the box art. They're working on the packaging. And then we also got to give them a little bit of credit with this set as well, because they do have 2 product lines this time. They have the pre-cons and the booster box. So we don't have to do anything crazy like blister packs and collector boxes like what other games do. So you know, they do have a lot on their plate right now. It's a smaller team. While I'm thinking of it right now, they did mention outside stakeholders in the game a little bit. So that just, you know, kind of, and they did say financially they're doing great. So they're not in any kind of, you know, money troubles. I think they got all the money they need to do what they want. You know, we love this game because it's one set a year and it's hand painted, hand drawn art, none of the AI crap from other games, and it's just part of the game. And I think just we just gotta. That's the game that we signed up for with Sorcery. They're doing exactly what they set out to do, and they're doing it well. And they want to be secretive. They don't want to give away a lot of stuff. Like, I think spoiler season will be extended. EndFaze Games will totally take a spoiler card if you guys want me to put one out. I would be super hyped to do that. So just putting that energy out there into the realm for that. And then at the end, they did mention the competitive side of things, but they don't want things to be, you know, too competitive. So they're sending out store kits, these onboarding kits, which will lead to events mainly to newer stores. Like, we have the existing LGSs. They're running into a lot of places where, you know, product does sell out quick. The sorcery community, you know, we buy a lot of boxes, it seems. And when we go to an LGS, we don't clear them out, but, you know, a lot of people like to buy a box and open it up. AL kind of has a rough, you know, opening EV right now after you've opened what you needed out of it, but it was really good to see them put that video together. And they did mention, like, they do want the competitive side to grow, and that's where the other events are going to be. So they really, at the end of the video, they really focused in on the community, which is the other great part of Sorcery. The community, the content creators are growing. I started this channel because of Sorcery. It's my main game. It's going to be my main game as long as it's in existence, and probably far after. And it's perfect for my lifestyle. I like other card games, but Sorcery is just, there's nothing like it. I played it last Sunday before the Super Bowl, and, you know, I had 4 games where in every game, something that has never happened has happened in every one of the games. And I played my Druid deck that I've played quite a few times. I've never gotten to do the snowball thing the way I did. And then I've never seen a double Warhorse. I've seen Warhorse carry all kinds of, you know, crap and do all kinds of stuff. Warhorse is so good. But yeah, just to summarize it, you know, with some of my thoughts that I haven't sprinkled in yet, I think that one of my last videos, you know, I said that Sorcery is doing exactly what they set out to do. They're holding true with keeping things close to them. They want to be a little bit secretive. They don't want to just spoil a 500 card set, you know, September, you know, 30th, and then a month later, everybody knows what they can pull out of the box. They know what they're going to be chasing, all that stuff. There's an element of surprise with opening a Sorcery product, and that's great. And then it's good to see they didn't lead too much into the competitive, which this game, with the demographic of it and why I got into it, I'm a competitive TCG player, but this game isn't competitive at heart, but there is a competitive crew. So they are going to be sure to appeal to both audiences, the kitchen table crew and the competitive crew. They mentioned, like I said, they mentioned Courtesan Cup by name, Gen Con. I'm sure Sorcery Con is going to happen. They'll just figure out where it's going to be at. If they can sprinkle in like 2 more bigger, I call them regional events, if they can just sprinkle those in, 5 events in a year, big, you know, Eric's Curiosa ran events mixed in with all of your local play and all of that kind of stuff, I think it's just a win for everybody involved. I think we just got to get used to, at the end of the year, the set comes out, Sorcery Con happens, and then you play the game, and then you're kind of on your own through December, January, and then February they ramp back up again, get you hyped again for the next season. And I think that's a perfect way to kind of just summarize what Sorcery is going to be in the future. And hopefully they continue on this path. for many years to come. So like if they do March to November, I think it's perfect. Get a couple months off, breathe, open up your cards, collect your cards, and you can take as long as you need because you have a whole year until the next set, and it's a win-win for everybody. So yeah, I will link that official sorcery video in the description of this video, and I'm sure if you guys have any comments, leave them down below. Don't forget to like the video, subscribe if you haven't already. And this weekend, Lord of Itzas, he has a tournament in Bloomington, Indiana. I am about 90% going to that. I have something that might have come up, but I'm about 90% going to that. And then here in Cincinnati, we have a tournament at my LGS. It's in Newport, Kentucky. It's at Thieves Guild Gaming. I'll link these tournaments in the description as well. And I know Bruce just had his tournament that Adam won up there. They're running in the Columbus, Ohio area. So Midwest is really popping, and we play a lot of sorcery around here. We got a lot of Kentucky guys, and we got a lot of guys that aren't afraid to drive around and play. But at the end of the day, we'd like to, ramp up the local scene a little bit more here. So yeah, thanks for watching. I'll catch you guys next time. See you.